So the first thing I want to say is, if you're a Metroid fan like me, who jived with the series beyond 1994 and loved everything that they've introduced to the IP, can even look back fondly at your least favorite entry, like a other M, and see the cool aspects of it today. If you're a fan like me, who doesn't think Super Metroid and Metroid Prime are the pinnacle of the series, or if everything I said rings true to you as a Metroid fan, but Super Metroid and Metroid Prime are the pinnacle of the series. If you prefer Samus Adventures to be like the original three games, where the lore of the series is very vague, things are basically laid out, but you're the one who has to fill in the blanks, right? You don't want to see the universe filled with different bounty hunters and different space pirates, or you're the fan who wants to see the universe filled with different bounty hunters and space pirates and want all the details like literally on the nose, spoon fed to you through cinematics and all of that, and want the more bombastic space opera of it all. If you're the Metroid fan who prefers the 2D games over the 3D games, or you prefer the 3D games over the 2D games, if you're that Metroid fan who's so trapped in your nostalgia that your favorite game, doesn't matter which one it is, but your favorite game will forever be your favorite because the time you played it, that moment in time, is tied to that game. So nothing will ever penetrate the fact that that is your favorite Metroid game. I just want to say this. Out of all the variations of Metroid fans that I just described, whichever category you fall under, fantastic. Great. I'm happy for you and I'm happy for me. We're all Metroid fans. We're the ones that added to the few sales, few millions, but still, few sales that Metroid get. You did that. I did that. Congratulations. Round of applause to you and to me, to us. We're the ones that made Metroid go beyond 1994, return in the early 2000s and continue. And even when they stopped making the big 3D Prime games, we were still here hoping for them, wishing for them. And now we got one coming out. And I know this. Out of all the Metroid fans that I just described, you know which ones aren't going to play Prime 4? I'm going to tell you exactly which ones. They all going to play Prime 4. What are you talking about? Every single one. The ones saying, I'm going to take a wait and see approach, cool. The ones who aren't happy that it's like going deeper into the Prime 3 thing, cool. The ones who only played Prime and Super, they bought the trilogy, played Prime, started to and was like, nah, I'm not really jiving with this. Wow, it's the most isolated one. What's going on? But anyway, they never probably even got to 3. Some who probably started 3, didn't finish 3 because they was like, oh, this is so Halo. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoever you are, I feel like you are going to play this game. Why? Because it's been 18 years since we got one of these. Why? Because you probably already got the console that can play this game. Or you just bought a brand new console that's going to play this game way better. That's probably why. Because at the end of the day, you are a fan. At the end of the day, every single Metroid fan that I just described, while we all got different tastes, flavors, this floats your boat more than the other thing, each and every one of y'all like the Morph Ball, Screw Attacks, Spider Balls, Space Boots, and all of that stuff that makes Metroid Metroid, whether it's upgrading your character in the sense of health, power, weapon upgrades, suit upgrades, enhancements that make you traverse the game better, grapple beams. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what makes you like Metroid more than anything, whether it's isolation, the way the setting is, whether it's, jam-packed with bounty hunters and Federation soldiers or whatever. I would hope that at the end of the day, at the end of 18 years, I should say, you would want to experience that again, those mechanics again. When you're seeing Spider Ball now being like used as a cannon and you going through the air in this overview trailer, it's like, man, that's a evolution of that ability. I want to see what that's like because now everything has psychic elements to it. You know what I mean? You got your psychic hands, you got psychic boots in order to land on psychic made platforms. There's a lot going on. So That's what makes Metroid Metroid. It's the setting, it's the walking through the different corridors, it's the being alone at times, it's the inclusion of the elements that came after 1994, like the Federation. But beyond those set decoration things, like, your themes of the levels and things like that, it's the core gameplay that's unique to Metroid. It's why when there's always a conversation about best Metroidvania games, it's like there's a lot that goes into what makes Metroid, to us Metroid fans, uncomparable. Where the comparison just never really works because who Samus is as a character and who she is as a character is completely based on all of the design choices of the IP. It has basically informed what the character is more than any other character that stars in the Metroidvania game. So she can turn into a morph ball, run through walls, screw attack, all this stuff, stick to ceiling, scan. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a 2D game, she has a melee attack and all that. Like 2D game, 3D game, she can scan and do all these same abilities. So what makes her cool as a character in 2D makes her cool as a character in 3D. That's why the conversation is hard. Yeah, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is like a Metroid Prime game in a lot of ways, but not exactly. Why? For the same reason no other Metroidvania game is like Metroid. It doesn't star Samus Aran. When you think about Samus Aran as a character and you compare her to most other video game characters, yeah, Mario's always going to jump and he's going to have abilities that he's going to get that's going to, inform that game, the gameplay, the design, and things like that. And that's an aspect of Mario, right? But it's like his slate is pretty much clean in the sense that he just runs and jumps. And from there, you got a clean slate to do whatever you want. Samus could do whatever she want, but she has, again, all of the years of design choices and elements that came into the game literally attached to her character that literally paint the picture of who she is to us when we look at her or her abilities. This is why when the conversation ever comes up, we're like, oh, who would win out of Doomslayer, Master Chief, Samus? We laugh as Metroid fans because it's like, do you even play the games? Like, y'all don't even like Master Chief to run. What are you talking about? Like, he's not even in the conversation. And then Doomslayer is like, yeah, he's in the conversation, but then it's like, did you play the end in the Dread? That's what Slayer gonna have to deal with, and he's dealt with crazy stuff. But that's crazy. And then again, Samus could go into the damn walls, into the pipes. She could, outrun you. She could run through you, for crying out loud. Like, this is the thing. She has crazy elements. Then you throw on Beyond, right? And then you take the elements that make her her, what make her unique, what make this game different from a Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor. What makes the 2D games different from any other 2D Metroidvanias out there. Her moveset. It is going to be upgraded beyond anything we've seen before. So the standard movesets of hers are now going to have new elements. We've seen it with the morph ball bombs. We've seen it with the spider ball already. We've seen it with the grapple beam already, where now she's using it more like a grapple hook instead of just swinging like Link would in something like Wind Waker, before you got, again, the actual hook shot when he had his little rope. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way the Samus grapple beam pretty much worked for the most part. A lot like Wind Waker. Wind Waker, you could take gems off of enemies and everything. You could do the same thing in, Prime 3. You could rip off a shield from an enemy. But for the most part, you just swinging. You wasn't zooming and holding on to the wall and then zooming across and holding on to the wall. And while that's new to the Prime games, it isn't really new to Samus, though. It's just like, oh, that ability that she could do in other games is now in this game, because she could do that in 2D games. Stick to the wall, hold on, then zoom off to the next wall. It just, again, it's adding things from the 2D games to the 3D game, but then building on things. And those enhancements, those upgrades, those new elements to those old elements is what's going to make a Metroid fan want to run out and play this game. It's my long way of saying, yo, listen, we all Metroid fans. You're more than likely going to play this game at one point or another, even if you don't play it day one, because you want to see reviews and the Miles McKenzie stuff really is a lot for you, and I'm taking you at your word. You know what I'm saying? Again, I empathize with people who want Metroid to be a specific way, versus me getting now what is basically what I've been begging for years, and I'm sitting here happy. I feel for you, but the thing is, it could only go so far for the simple fact that what you want is almost certainly in this game versus what I want, if you had it your way, wouldn't be in the game. All the awesome elements that make Samus Samus, that makes Metroid Metroid, would be there in my version of Metroid or in your version of Metroid. But in your version of Metroid, all the elements that I want wouldn't be there. So I feel like we're getting technically the let's please everyone. And some people might say, oh, trying to please everyone, you're going to please no one. That's a lie. Because I'm already pleased going into this game that it's what I've been saying I've wanted this game to be for years and years and years. And it's a continuation of Metroid Prime 3, growing the universe even more than that game did. Giving me more of the elements that I love of Metroid, of course, abilities, power-ups, isolation, all of that. But building more on the lore of it all. I'm getting that. Again, the game that you want to play is in this game. And you might say, yeah, I don't want this character walking around, da, da, da. Look, this is my long way of saying you are a Metroid fan, I am a Metroid fan, but let's be clear. Metroid Prime 4 discourse on the internet has officially been hijacked. It has been hijacked. And it's not by real Metroid fans. No, it's absolutely by fake fans. And this is not like, oh, here we go. We got somebody claiming there's fake fans, because then I just named every single version of real Metroid fans. Every version of Metroid fans. And I said, you're a real Metroid fan. So if you're feeling like the shoe fits, then I guess the shoe fits. And I'm talking about you. But let's be clear. There are fake fans out there. Let's not pretend like you don't know what year we in. We in the year of our Chozo saviors, 2025. And that means gamers who hate everything. They need everyone to also hate what they hate. They hate seeing women in any medium as anything other than the hot piece of flesh. You know, the ones who yell out, girl boss, the second that a woman could, I don't know, read and write, right? She's a girl boss. Because what? She has an IQ? That's why. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly who I'm speaking of. It's the same people who tend to short circuit whenever they see a person of color show up in anything now. And I know by now, you know exactly who I'm speaking on. The ones who are big fans of sleep and hate anything and anyone they feel isn't getting enough shut-eye. Not on the nose enough yet? They're the ones who can't consume anything nowadays and claim everything is woke that doesn't fit into their idiotic, closed-minded way of miserable existence. Before Metroid, it was stuff like Star Wars Outlaws, and there'll be others after Prime 4. I'm talking quicker than Mackenzie could put on this goddamn mask. Watch when Lara Croft gets announced next year, something like that. Watch. They're going to be right there. Oh, yo, her tits ain't big enough. And da, da, da. You know who they are. Don't act like I'm making this up. Don't act like what I'm saying ain't true. They have co-opted the narrative around this game the minute that they thought, oh, this is another one of those that falls into this bracket of this thing that we all just hate on all day, right? On these things that we choose to hate on all day. This portion of the internet, right? I was watching videos from people in Spain, right? And listening to them speak on the game. And I watched this particular person kind of go into a little rant real quick. And he just basically was like, man, you already know the Americans doing what they do. They basically making this all a whole hate thing, and they going on like, you know, this crazy hate train, hating on this thing like they do with anything now, and alluded to exactly this, what I'm saying. And I'm like, yeah, it is exactly that. I'm not saying that there's no people out there, again, real fans, who have issues with Miles McKenzie, who have issues with the fact that he's saying, yo, use your ice gun, or they freeze with whatever. Or, hey, maybe you should use that save station. I get it, you know, and it sucks because I think a lot of that it comes from the way videos were. Look, it's in the game. Don't get it twisted, but it's in the game for what reason? We've all said this, for help, inclusion purposes. But the video was created in a way of like, I'm not gonna do what I know I gotta do, and I'm just gonna see how much this guy talks. Well, guess what? Retro did a good job. They put mad dialogue in the game in order to make it. If you standing around for too long, instead of a question block popping up, it's gonna be somebody saying at least early on in the game, so that you could get on with it, learn. Maybe they're lost. They don't know what's going on. Hey, yeah, maybe you should shoot this thing, shoot this thing, shoot this thing, because he's waiting there. You know what to do. You know, 100. The person playing the game plays the Metroid game before. You knew what to do. But if you sitting there like when I play that game, am I gonna sit there and just be waiting, lollygagging? No, I'm gonna see the cinematic. He gonna fall down after I shoot the four vines holding onto the ship. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, I got something for you. He gonna go grab that. I'm gonna pop that boom. So he's not gonna go into like, oh shoot da da da. He's gonna move on to like, oh yeah, grab that thing in there da da da. Upgrade. Now we going. I'm gonna play the game. I'm not gonna be sitting there worried about this NPC. I'm trying to play the game, go forward, and see more stories, see the other NPCs. But I'm just saying, like, I understand that there's people who are gonna have issues with the fact that there's just somebody there that's talking. Again, I understand that. And I feel like I've been very respectful in my content of trying to be understanding and have empathy for all kinds of Metroid fans. And not just be like, haha, I got my Metroid game. Like, versus, haha, you're not getting Super Metroid again. Basically Prime 1. Remix that again. Like, which is weird because, I mean, look, you got Ice, you got Fire. They doing that. Right? I could sit there and complain and be like, man, I wish it was something more unique, but I've seen unique. I've seen the electricity. I've seen all kinds of psychic stuff. So it's just taking some of the old, mixing it with the new. I'm happy. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is a game to satisfy all Metroid fans, I feel, in here. Even if you're like, oh yeah, I don't drive with all the story. Maybe I'll be like, you know what, that story was kind of weak. It could have been better. Who knows? But if the game is great, the full experience, like, yo, this area was great. These puzzles were great. These shrine-like places I find in the desert, awesome. The desert, the vehicle, all of that, that was awesome. Then it's great. There's people who love Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. You ask them right now about the story, and they got nothing for you. Why? Because the way it was laid out, or whatever the case may be, they ain't played for that. They played it for the game. You know what I'm saying? For the elements that make Link Link. You know what I'm saying? And the elements that make Zelda Zelda, a Zelda game, a Zelda experience. That first and foremost beats out anything. It's like, oh, new dungeons, new puzzles, new more of the thing I love. On top of that, new ideas from the team at Nintendo. Da da da. Like, you gotta understand, they're taking a lot of nice little quotes, and then blowing those things up and trying to make it like, yeah, this is the worst thing ever. And it's far too many people out there saying like, yeah, don't buy this game, don't buy this game, don't buy this game. I can't believe that after 20 years that there's supposed real Metroid fans. Because I'll be blunt and say, if you want this game to fail, you're not a Metroid fan. You can't call yourself a fan of an IP that has not even come out. Nobody's experienced the whole thing, and you're already ruined for it to fail. When you know what failure could mean for this IP is death, like that don't make like I can't with any kind of self-respect sit here in front of other Metroid fans call you a Metroid fan. Like, how? It's like the next 3D Mario gets announced and they're like, you know what? You just watched Mario movies, right? Galaxy that came out and everything. You watched that. Bowser's in that, prominent in that. But we've played against Bowser for so many years. This is gonna be the one where, guess what? For the first time in so long, Bowser is not even going to make a single appearance in the game. Do I want that? No. But let's say they just did that, right? And because of that, that's the only detail you have. You're like, this game should fail. It shouldn't come out. Da, da, da. I'm not going to consider you a fan of Mario. Like, just because of that, because one element, like, the game is still going to be what it is. It's still going to be a platformer, crazy cool ideas. It's still the Mario Odyssey team, da, da, da. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be excited just because of this one little different thing. Like, yeah, I don't like that. Or they added a brand new, Bowser's still in it. They added a brand new Mario brother. This ain't Mario. How dare they add a new sibling? Oh, they just want to grow the IP moving forward. I remember when Rosalina didn't exist. I remember when Goddamn Wario and Waluigi didn't exist. Could you imagine them not being part of the ensemble cast that makes up a Mario adventure now? It'd be weird. Like really weird. And so why would I hate on them introducing something new? Oh, because they should have stopped back in my youth. Like if kids aren't growing up with these IPs and they gotta introduce new things that are the new Rosalina moments for people. Like I wasn't even a child when Rosalina, came into the Mario IP. But I look back at it now, because I was younger, like yeah, back in my youth. When Rosalina came in, man, that was a great moment. Who would have thought that she would have became, such a big part of the cast of Mario, because it felt like she was going to be like a one-off thing potentially. But nope, we loved her. She's our, cosmic, a goddess of the IP, and it's awesome. Like I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, they added this new element before the game comes out and be like, yeah, I'm not going to buy it. Who does that for any game? Nobody does. We got to actually see a game be played by people who played not an hour introduction. Imagine somebody lets you play the tutorial to a game. The tutorial. Like, for example, Ninja Gaiden 4, which just came out recently. The tutorial, the opening to that game is it's fairly long, right? But if they let you play that, and then you judge the whole experience just on that, oh yeah, it kept stopping me and pausing me, and things popping up to tell me these buttons and tell me these combos and how to do this and how to do that. It was stopping to show me this is a safe station. It was stopping to show me, oh, this is a guy that you could buy stuff off of, like homie in Resident Evil. What are you buying? What are you selling? So am I gonna judge the whole game off of a preview? We do that now off a straight up preview. There's one thing if a preview was bad, but which preview for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was bad? Every single one of them was pretty much glowing, other than the few folks who had, or you could say many, because some people didn't care, some people did. The people who had allergic reaction to Miles McKenzie, they had that, but they was like, yeah, but whatever. That was just the opening section, and then he stood there, and then we went off. So who knows what's gonna happen with the full game? Some people are like, no, but there's other characters. That don't mean they're gonna be exactly him. They're gonna all have different personalities. One could be tied to, I mean, they seem to all be tied to abilities. So those moments and things like that could be far more epic depending the deeper you get into the game. Or if it's you choosing where to go, you're gonna meet these characters out of order because you got the freedom of the whole desert, to pick and choose what you want to do. Who knows? But again, nobody does. What we do know is like Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. It's Retro Studios. Again, they're taking these quotes and being like, oh yeah, but that's not the real Retro Studios. As if 90% of your favorite games, not named, or should I say not published by Nintendo, don't change developers every single time. God of War's did after 2. It wasn't directed by David Jaffe, 2. It was directed by someone else. And so on and so forth, And it's the same thing with studios having people come in and then come out as games, wrap up development and things like that. That happens all the time, all over the world. It's very rare that studios and teams stay together for years and years like Nintendo ones do. That's mostly a Nintendo thing. That's mostly a Japanese thing, you know what I'm saying? Because you look at Capcom, Resident Evil, you know what I'm saying? Like, people moved up the development chain of that IP, and then some people left. Bad Blood stories and all of that. Things, always have moving pieces. But when a new game comes out, you get people who are going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to play this thing because it's a whole new team. Then the game comes out and it's great. Look at Metal Gear, right? They just remade Metal Gear 3. Those people like, oh, it ain't Kojima. There's no way it's going to be good. Konami suck, da da da. Game comes, out in the sense of people see it, and they go, damn, that actually looks good. People play like, yo, it's good. And it's like, all right, so it's a good, remake, retelling of that game. And people happy with it. And it's like, yeah, it's a whole new team. Now the conversation become, can they actually take a swing and, actually hit a home run by themselves, not remaking something. Now that we know you can remake that thing, can you do it by yourself? Make your own story, no Kojima, no nothing. Do a Metal Gear game that everybody's going to enjoy, right? You could say, oh yeah, retro is kind of in that space right now. They remade Metroid Prime 1. Incredible. Fantastic. Amazing version of that game. And now people are like, well, clearly they could make the game play, look, feel, and yeah, it's Metroid Prime. But can they do it on their own? Can they create an original Metroid Prime experience. And it's like, I'm sure they can. I'm sure Nintendo's going to put people together who can do this. And not only that, a lot of the developers and producers are from the original trilogy. There's people acting like there's nobody in key positions who were there in the past. You know what I'm saying? Who are going to make sure that the game design, the elements, puzzles, all of that, is up to par with what is expected from a Metroid Prime game. They know who's going to be playing this game. They are very aware of the weight right now on their shoulders when it comes to this game after such a long wait. It's the same weight on the shoulders of Rockstar. You might think like, oh, comparing this to GTA 6 is wild, but it's really not. It's two loved IPs, years in the making, when it comes to this latest entry. We've waited delay after delay, Rockstar right now is still going through it. We're finally at the finish line when it comes to Prime 4. It's that same thing. It's that developer who knows that there is a built-in audience there that's been waiting a long time. They got to satisfy them, but then they also understand the company gave us funds to make this new thing, and they want this to be the biggest version of this thing and take it to new heights, especially in the era of Nintendo where 3D Kirby broke all the records for Kirby sales, in the era where Zelda just did that, Mario just did that, and pretty much every IP that they produce, including Pikmin and everything, like Xenoblade games and everything, they saw their best sales within the last decade. And I was like, yeah, you finally getting a new one of these. And the 2D one, they did it. They got their best sales. Dread did it. But now they're looking, and all eyes are going to be on Prime 4. And I think it's 100% proper as a company for Nintendo to be like, look, we did it. We restarted. We made sure to get everything, right. All the ducks in a row. We made the game. It's up to par with what we feel is worth, putting out there to the world. We're about to put it out there. If this thing doesn't do well, we'll stick with the 2D games. They're cheaper to make, and they clearly sell better, so the audience prefers that anyway. We could just put some elements from the 3D games, but maybe they won't do that because, oh no, now that sounds too much like Other M, and that was bad. But the point is, like, this game needs to do well for the series, and it's just not like, oh, just shut up and buy, whatever. Like, you seeing all these comments with the same keywords, like, oh yeah, just buy the slop and blah blah blah. They just parroting stuff. These aren't actual fans. Nobody will be rooting for this game to fail, because if you're an actual fan, you know that failure for this probably means this thing going away forever, at least for most of our lifetimes. You know what I'm saying? It'll probably be that damn long. Nobody wants that. And granted, yeah, the game has to be great and all that. And that is the hope. Everything we've seen looks great. Visually, everything looks great. You know what's crazy? How many previews I've seen say this game is the best looking game on Switch 2. The best looking game on Switch 2. The best looking game on Switch 2 is a Switch 1 game. The best looking game on Switch 2 is a game that isn't Cyberpunk. How quick they forget. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think Prime 4 looks better than Cyberpunk. I'm just saying it's just crazy, right? A game where you got some people saying, oh, it looks like a PS3 game, da da da. Every preview pretty much says, man, the game is gorgeous. Man, it's beautiful. Maybe because they played it in 120 frames per second. Maybe because they played it in 4K, 60 frames per second. Maybe it's because Retro Studios are masters of their craft, and the game looks like what you expect a Prime game to look like on Switch level hardware in 2025. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that visually and everything, it's like, yeah, man, it's up to par with, what we've seen in Prime games, whatever. So what makes you think that the game design and everything else, like, oh yeah, they got the visual side right, but they miss completely on the game design. Like, you don't even know that. And again, we're a few, at this point, days removed from reviews coming out. But again, there's no reviews. And yet, no matter what Metroid video you watch, you go into the comment section of them, you're going to see people there telling you not to buy this game. Don't buy this game because it ain't real Metroid. Don't buy this game because this is some blah, 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 blah. And it's all nonsense based off nothing. And these aren't real Metroid fans. And it's real easy for you to sit there and be like, oh no, there's definitely some real Metroid fans in there. All right, cool. So basically, if I were to do the math, I would say for every one Metroid fan who's actually saying something along those lines, there's 20 to 30 people who are just now piling onto the game because, again, it's the next one that them on their quest for being the biggest pieces of trash on the planet have to go and attack this thing because they don't fit the criteria of what a movie is supposed to look like, what it's supposed to sound like, what it's supposed to be like, and if it includes anything that is the opposite of that is automatically labeled. You already know. So, yeah, those people aren't real fans. They're just not. And you can say like, "Oh, Red, you going too deep." Nah, man, it's 2025. That's the reality. And at the end of the day, Samus just came back into a world where the internet is filled with these individuals who, if a product comes out and it hits all of these specific things, again, person of color, starring a woman, she's a badass, girl boss, all of that, you know what I mean? Automatically, they start rebelling against the thing. Oh yeah, we gotta be the heroes that we are. We can't allow this thing to happen because of agenda. That's the reality. You want to be naive and say, oh, that's just your opinion, Red. Whatever. This is a fact. It's almost 2026, and you know it to be true that what I'm saying is the reality. When things come out that include specific things, they go off and start acting like they're on this crusade for, again, their agenda. You get what I'm saying? And those people have latched on right now to Metroid Prime 4. It is the end of the year. They had nothing else better to do. And this was the one. Whether it was like, oh, Millennia writing, Marvel writing, da da da. Like, if these are bad things, yo, I'm really looking at these takes, these, these talking points being reused and reused. You got to understand. Again, shout out to all of y'all. Last week was the most popular week in the history of the Recipe YouTube channel. And more comments than ever, from mostly positive to really, really dumb negative ones. And I see these people. And I know that that's that. And I'm not saying these people can't be Metroid fans. But what I'm telling you is they not. They're not. And it's like, oh, who are you to be able to decide who's a fan and who's not? They don't play the game. They're not going to play the game. They're just on the internet rage baiting, getting people mad and telling other people don't play the game, calling people shills and whatever. Oh, yeah, cope. Just dumb, stupid, idiotic things just being regurgitated constantly to try to make people feel shamed for buying Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, a game that they've been waiting years for. Oh, they should just cancel. They should have, like, yo, no real Metroid fan is saying that. I'm sorry. I won't accept that. And now you can say, oh, well, that's, your opinion to not accept their opinion. Right. I'm not. Why? Because I've never seen such ridiculous takes. I've never seen some bad faith arguments. I've never seen a supposed fan base so furious with a preview and supposedly the direction of the game. I say supposedly because the IP's been going in this direction way more than it's been Metroid 1, 2, and Super. That's just the facts. And Metroid Prime was very much the catalyst for the direction we're going in. That was the beginning. And now, I'm not going to say this is the end, because hopefully this is the beginning to more, but this is the last story, So this is the end right now, and the stakes are higher than ever. There's a lot going on in the universe, and it's amazing, and it's exciting. And I've never seen such an angry mob. Angry. And even more mad at people who are perfectly fine with Miles McKenzie's writing. Perfectly fine with the fact that, damn, we got quality acting like that with the face to match the act and everything in the Nintendo experience. This is exciting. Let alone the Metroid game. This is exciting. They are mad. Like furious. Like so angry that people can possibly enjoy Metroid that involves characters and world building. Look, I'd much rather live in a world where I can envision Samus popping up in the Xeno game, because those are super sci-fi and everything, and it not being that crazy. Because what I've seen Samus mingle with these kinds of characters, those kinds of bounty hunters, whatever the case may be. I'm the fan who, if I were to create a Star Fox game, you best believe there'll be a secret path in the stage where you're going to go off and then you're going to start getting jumped. And you're going to be like, yo, how the hell do you beat this? And then Samus is going to come in. Just like you always get those hero characters in Star Fox that just come in, help you out, and then they dip off after a level. Yeah, Samus is going to come in her ship, and she's going to help you out. You're going to be flying Star Fox crew alongside the bounty hunter, the lone bounty hunter, Samus Aran. And while y'all crying, Samus doesn't belong, Samus doesn't belong, there's going to be mad Metroid fans who are going to be so happy that we got to the point where things like this could happen. We're not sitting there saying, oh, yo, now Star Fox crew is going to be in a Metroid mainline game. No, we just saying that Samus is cool enough. The universe is expansive enough that her popping up in the other sci-fi Nintendo IP wouldn't be the most egregious thing in the world. Wouldn't be so crazy. You know what I mean? Because we've never seen Samus interact with nothing. Nothing. Like, I'd rather much live in that world. But nah. There's people really, really so angry, so mad. I mean, spewing hate. I've even been cursed out just for having my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I haven't done that to these individuals other than, what's the worst thing I could say to them? You a fake fan. I know this, and every real Metroid fan knows this. Because every version of a Metroid fan that I painted at the beginning of this, at some point or another, are either going to play this game, or hell, maybe some won't. But I promise you this, none of them wants this to fail. Because the reality is, this could come out and it could do numbers. It could be great. And then they can say, hey, listen, man, I like this game. I like everything about it. I would have liked it a lot better, though, if they didn't have that escort mission, this character over there, this character over there. And they could say that all day long. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe Nintendo will listen to them. And the way they gave me this Metroid game, that's the Metroid game that I've been asking for, they'll give them theirs, where it's like, yeah, we're going to do this Metroid thing. Samus by herself. Hell, maybe they'll even do a DLC to Beyond. That's just Samus doing her own thing. It's after the story. It has nobody involved. And you can get that DLC and play that. The point is, they want it to exist. They want this game to do well so that they can live in a world where you can, potentially get the Metroid that you want. Imagine loving the IP so much. Scratch that. Imagine loving specific entries in the IP so much that it'll make you lose all empathy for the other members of the fan base of that IP. To the point where you're like, if I can't get my way, then nobody should get anything. Is it okay if I say that individual at least isn't a very good fan? Right? Can we at least question a little bit of their fandom? Because that's wild. Because never in a million years do I want Metroid to fail, whether it's a Metroid of the M, whether it's Metroid Pinball or Hunters or Federation Force. I just want to see them do well, because I always thought, well, if Federation Force, if 3DS fans, take to it and it does numbers, then at some point we'll probably get a console version of that game and it could be everything that I wanted it to be. You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine Federation Force with the Federation looking like they do in 2025 in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond? That'd be awesome. You know what I'm saying? And some people might be like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to play that. Cool. Then don't play it. It's a side thing. What's stopping you? I don't sit there as a Mario fan, Super Mario fan. Yeah, I see what I just did there. But literally a Super Mario fan, right? I don't sit there. And because I don't like this Mario spinoff of that Mario spinoff of, and then just start going in and say, oh, you're a bad fan because you bought Paper Mario, Origami King, and that doesn't play exactly like the 1,000-Year Door. No. You don't want to know why? Because I'm not a miserable bastard. Like, that's insane to do that. It's Mario, bro. He gonna come around with something else. Oh, I didn't like this Mario Tennis. Another Mario Tennis? Why are they doing this? Well, you didn't like the other one, but you liked the one prior to that. So maybe this one will be one that you like. Nah, but they should do something else. Great, I agree with you. But no need to hate on Mario Tennis. It didn't do nothing for you, and the last one sold. So if they make another one, it is what it is. Oh, I don't like Mario Party. Why are they making Mario Parties? I should be getting another Smash Brothers, another Smash Brothers. It's like, stop being so selfish. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy to me to claim to be a fan of something and then go out of your way to hate on fans of the thing. And you know what else I hate more than anything? I hate people who were a fan of a thing and can't accept that they're not a fan of a thing no more. And so when there's a new entry, a new season, a new episode of something that they stopped watching and they feel like the world revolves around them. So it's like, oh, you watching Daryl Dixon. Oh, Walking Dead was trash. I stopped watching this. I don't care what season you start watching Walking Dead. I continue. And millions of people have. And it's still one of the biggest shows in the world. Those are facts. Whatever you going to say, oh, it fell off at the end. I don't care. I don't need you to try to make me stop liking something that I continue to like because you stopped liking it. Just move on. Shut up. Go on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean that respectfully. Like, just please shut your mouth. Stop trying to convert me to hate a thing because you fell off of the thing. It is what it is. I'm not sitting there because, oh, I like the original Star Wars trilogy. So, the prequels is trash. I didn't do that ever in my lifetime. Granted, I like the prequels, but still, like, I genuinely can't stand that people always want to be part of the thing when it's at the height of the thing. It's like, oh yeah, they playing that artist on the radio. So yeah, that artist is the man. That artist is awesome. And then time passes, like every artist, most, right? And you go from being at the highs of highs to seeing yourself become now underground again. And you got your core audience, and you're not really underground because you got a big enough audience still, that you can sell gold records and things like that, but you just not being played on the radio. But who cares about the radio? But people will still use that as the highest metric in order to justify whether artist is still worth listening to or something like that. Artists could be way better than he was at the height of their, career. They're making way better music. Their art has evolved into something completely better. But nah, I'm not listening to that. Because back in my day, it's like nothing new could penetrate, your earbuds in a way that the thing from back in your day did. It's like that penetration back then was it for you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like anything that comes through your earbuds, it goes through this filter of it can't be good because back in my day. And yet you then want to speak on a whole genre and be like, oh yeah, rap ain't like it used to be back when I was a kid in junior high school and high school when you was running around again as a kid and these was the music that your auntie and your mama was playing and you sitting there wondering, oh, why is it that music don't hit the way it does? You don't even wonder that. You just straight up believe that it's impossible that it could be better now than it was back then. Because when I was listening to it back then, it was when I actually got up and went out and mingled with people and and these songs, were stamping and staining these memories, these time capsules in my mind. And it's like, I don't have that. I understand that the past is the past and every day is the past. And every day I could look back and say, yeah, back when I was younger, because I was younger yesterday. I was younger. Wait, I'm older than that and I was just now when I said younger. You see what I'm saying? Like, time is passing. I could look back at that and look back at things fondly, going back to the point of video games, I could look at the Wii U as fondly as I could look at the Super Nintendo, and bring myself back to the feels. And I get one is further back and things were a lot different. And there's cousins around and friends and this, that, and the world and everything was different. Yeah, I get it. But I can still see the great and everything. And even to now, I could sit here and look at consoles that people completely think, oh yeah, these consoles now is garbage compared to back then. And And it's like, yeah, I can remember that was not the case the way you're painting that console. There was a lot of droughts. There was a lot of this. It wasn't as good as it is now. There wasn't better games than what you got now. But yet, because You maybe played that console more, maybe because you played with friends online on those specific games. That was the height of the thing. It can't be better now, even though it is better now. I mean, you could just ask the companies making more money than ever before. You know, more games being made than ever before. More people playing video games than ever before. Right? This space, this medium that we love is bigger and better than it was before. You could say the golden age, the golden era, in what sense? Because again, more people, more money, more everything right now. And that's for all the console manufacturers. That's for PC. That's just for the whole medium. It's a beautiful time. But there still be people who will be like, back in my day, that's always gonna happen. You know? And the hope is that you create enough cool stuff that those people's voices become very quiet in the ocean of a lot of people just enjoying what's going on right now. You know? So I understand that there's a lot of people right now on there. Back in my day, and Metroid has to be this, and this is a real Metroid. And da, da, da. I understand that. But I truly hope after December 4th, that talk can become like the Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time fans within the Zelda fan base. They'll be the Super and Metroid Prime fans who always talk about, you know, that is the best, that is the best, that is the best, but it got quieter and quieter the more that Nintendo just stomped out those games with better product. And Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom was that. And it grew a whole new audience to the point where anyone talking about Ocarina of Time, da, 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 it's like basically, how do I put it? Bowser in the intro of the Mario Galaxy movie trailer. You know? They sound like that in the room. Granted, Bowser was pretty damn loud in that trailer, but you know, he was tiny and he was talking like this, da, da, da. You know, that's them. Sitting there talking about Ocarina of Time is the best, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past. I can't wait for the day, you know, that we're there with Metroid, and I hope that that day comes. But there's definitely people right now hijacking the narrative and trying their damnness to make this thing fail so that they get another win on their agenda because they feel like Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah, we did it. You know, that game wasn't super successful, da, 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 like that. I'm like, well, they made a version for the Switch 2. Hopefully it continues to find success and they'll make a sequel to that because people who actually played that game really enjoyed it, like really enjoyed it. So why am I telling you all this? What is the point of this discussion right now? The point is not letting yourself get worked and talked out of future Metroid games because of people who have zero intention of playing this, people who aren't part of our actual fandom. Yes, because our fandom is one that's varied and people like different things within it. But we are fans. And there's clearly people who are not fans pretending to be and trying to turn people against this game because this is exactly the kind of content that we don't want written in entertainment. This is exactly the kind of content that we don't want seeing being made in entertainment. And it's that. You don't want to be on that side of history. I'm just going to say that. You don't want to be on that part. You know what I mean? On that time right now. It's just, where's the fun in that? Imagine waiting 20 years and you grew 20 years and you grew into that individual who you was there for Prime 1, Prime 2, potentially even Prime 3. And I'm saying imagine this individual actually played the game. But because the way society is now, because of whatever propaganda, whatever you want to label it, they brain got turned into mush. And now whenever they consume any entertainment, they consume it through the eyes of, well, their propaganda and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that dictates whether they like something or not, whether they're going to purchase something or not. To be clear, I'm not telling you run out there and buy the game blind. If you're a Metroid fan and you're on the fence, you don't know, or I don't know if it's going to be that good, da, da, da. What I'm looking at, I don't like Viola, I don't like the Mackenzie stuff, I don't like the other pirate stuff, and so far, I don't even like the locations. Hell, I'm not even liking the visuals. I don't like the mouse controls. I don't like that weird space, goddamn morph ball thing that's happening there with the spider balls flying through the sky. I don't like none of it. Then, fine. But I'm a Metroid fan. and I don't like none of this. But I'm hoping, that it comes out in the reviews well, and we'll see. But right now, I'm not in. If that's you, fine, fine. I just can't stomach the people who just sitting there in every comment section, and you seeing the same people in multiple comment sections too, and they just copy and pasting the same thing. Some of them are copy and pasting whole goddamn TED Talks. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, I'm sitting here doing full TED Talks. You know what I mean? But they're literally writing out full goddamn lectures, and it's nonsense. It's not even like this stuff where it's like, all right, let me, try to meet you halfway and empathize with your stuff, like I've done with a lot of different takes. But when the takes are just, you're bad, the game's bad, Nintendo's bad, anyone who likes this thing is bad, the writing's bad, Retro Studios is bad, gaming is bad. I've seen that. Like, y'all playing this and the word slop thrown around 1,000 times. Like, I swear, if I hear that word, let me not even say that, because then they're going to just spam it in the comments. I mean, who am I kidding? They're going to do that either way. Because, once they see the words fake fan, people going to be so offended. And again, if the shoe fits, if you feel like I'm calling you a fake fan after listening to how long this been going, 51 minutes and 15 seconds. If you feel like you are being seen right now in this discussion, then boy, I must have a goddamn scan visor. And it's absolutely factual. The shoe fits. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like what's going on isn't going on, because it might offend somebody, or whatever the case may be. This is the reality. I see it. I see y'all. My visor works very well. You feel me? And yeah, I'm just not gonna fall for it. And I would hope that many of you Metroid fans out there do not fall for this nonsense. It ain't real. Like, genuinely, it ain't real. There was multiple comments that I responded to, and the follow-up comment was basically copy and pasted the same. And it wasn't only on my channel, it was like on other channels. And that, to me, just showed me, it's like, yeah, like, these are also bots. You know what I'm saying? Doing this. And again, y'all gonna be like, oh man, tin hat. I mean, we all talking about sci-fi, right? I want to believe. Nah, but for real, like, if you think I'm making this up, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm putting myself on Front Street. I'm putting this on wax, and I'm throwing this out there into the universe. But I'm saying this because it's the truth. If I didn't think it was the truth, I wouldn't be saying it. This is genuinely my truths right here. You heard? Like, I definitely feel that a lot of the nonsense that you're hearing, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing, who it's coming from, is genuinely not the Metroid fan base. And that's even a loaded statement. Because the last thing I'll say is this. Look, I've been watching a lot of Metroid videos. And I'm watching publications who I haven't watched in years. I was watching all the major publication takes on this, because I know they're the ones who parrot the most stuff. You know what I'm saying? So if like one guy said it, which, I mean, the biggest said it, which is IGN, right? One of the biggest publications out there, says this thing, they're all going to now take that and run with it as a talking point. I mean, granted, so am I, right? But I think this actually was IGN I was watching, one of the, like, their podcasts, and I jumped through it to get to the Metroid part. And what blew my mind, right? And I'm going to be honest, this is a real Metroid fan. Let's be clear. I'm not taking nothing away from this person. This person believes they are a hardcore Metroid fan. It is what it is. But this is what happened. So the Metroid segment starts. Everybody's going around, saying their 2 cents. Everybody gives a brief history of basically their history with the series. It was something along those lines, right? And then they would talk about these previews for Metroid Prime 4. How you feeling right now, right? It's been all these years. Where you at, right? So on one of these shows, one of these people, when it got to them, they were like, oh yeah, Super Metroid Prime 1, right? Those is, those are the ones. Those are the ones he played, whatever the case may be. And those are his favorite. Those are the games he loves. And he talks about that. So when they finally get to the part of, all right, so what do you think about this, brand new preview that we just did for Metroid Prime 4? Basically what you get is, I feel like the bike is dorky. The fact that, this is what the marketing team is highlighting makes me worry. They don't know what makes Metroid to a super fan like me. That's what the person basically says, something along those lines. And I'm like, super fan like you, and said with so much confidence, you played Super Metroid, a game from 1994. It's 2025. And then you played Metroid Prime 1, which is just, again, the remix of Super Metroid. You played two games which were basically a version of each other. And then, with all the confidence in the world, say you worry that they don't know what makes Metroid to a super fan like me. Again, I'm not saying this person isn't a fan. You played two games over 20 years ago, and you try to speak for the whole IP. Tell the people who make the game, especially like the producer who's been making these games forever, like they don't know what makes Metroid because of a vehicle, because of Miles McKenzie, because of Federation soldiers, because of things that the Metroid series has been doing, introducing for decades, since you last played a game. And you're going to talk about they don't know what makes it Metroid to a super fan. A super fan. That's crazy. I thought a super fan is a person who like consumes everything that they're a fan of. You know what I'm saying? Like that is in the realm of that IP that they're a fan of. They consume everything. They're the ones who going out there and buying, books based on the damn thing or whatever, merch, buying spin-off stuff within that IP, everything. Oh, they making a comic over there. There's a novel over there. Oh, there's a new spin-off cartoon over there, a live action movie over there, a show over there. They try to watch everything. Why? Because they're a fan of that thing. No. They're not a fan of that thing. They're a super fan of that thing. In my mind, I'm like, this individual's not a super fan, but here he is speaking for this thing and then regurgitating the same thing. It's people who don't even partake in the rest of this thing and just wanted to be that old thing that they like, and then try to speak on it for everybody with so much confidence, and then talk about how wrong everything is in the direction that it is. This doesn't make sense, and why would they ever do this? And da-da-da. And it's like, we've been heading here. This is literally the fourth game, the fourth part of this story. And that brings me to a question that I had got from someone. Shout out to you. It's been so many damn comments, but shout out to you because you know who you are. You asked me, do you think that the discrepancy right now between the fan base has to do with the fact, basically you asked me, is it all Nintendo's fault and they're to blame for their lack of releasing Metroid Prime 2 and Prime 3 on modern hardware where people could access it easily? And they got me thinking like, damn. Right? If people played 2 and 3 this year alongside 1, if they went through the whole trilogy, would they have reacted to this different? And honestly, I think the answer to that is yeah. And I would love to know what y'all think in the comments. Like, I think yeah. I think they definitely would have reacted different if they would have actually went through it. Because I think too many people bought the trilogy and never actually played any of the other games because Metroid Prime is the only good one. Metroid Prime is the only one worth playing. Oh, I played the best one, so I'm good. Like, no, you just played part 1. And anybody who told you, oh yeah, it's the best and you don't need to play the other ones, they lied to you. They lied to you. And you believe their lies. Next time, don't do that. You see what I'm saying? Because if you would have played 2, you would have played 3. Prime 4, this picture that they painting, you would have probably been seeing it through my visor. You see what I'm saying? And even if you did play them, and you're still not seeing it through my visor because Prime 1, I don't know what to say. All I'm going to say is, well, I hope that there's enough Metroid goodness in here, and by that I mean the core elements that make Metroid, for you to be satisfied on top of all the stuff that is going to satisfy me and many other Metroid fans, And hopefully one day, maybe through DLC or a mainline game, you'll get another Metroid Prime again style game. Until then, yo, let's be fans. Let's enjoy the fact that there's a brand new Metroid game coming out. We waited mad long to get to this point. Mad long. To let now these interlopers come in here and ruin the whole damn thing right when we about to get to the promised land is wild. Like, y'all should be excited. Y'all should be happy. Even if you're not, ecstatic about the preview and Miles McKenzie, you should still be excited because you know that this game was made with love and care. You could see that. There's no way you can't see this if you like the previous Metroid games. You know what I'm saying? And again, anybody saying like, anybody who looks at this and thinks that this is good, thinks that this is great, blah, 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 those are the ones I'm telling you. Those ain't real Metroid fans. Period. That's what I'm saying. But I ain't gonna keep going in circles now. I've been yapping y'all ill for an hour, and I just want to say this: for those of y'all who got all the way to the end, I appreciate y'all. For those of y'all who subscribe to the channel, I appreciate y'all. For my patron, I appreciate y'all. And honestly, I'm just always gonna, give my 2 cents when it comes to narratives within this IP. But I did want to say that I just want to now talk about Metroid and analyze Metroid, the footage that we got, because I feel like I didn't do a deep enough dive on the analyzation of that overview trailer. So I want to do that later this week again and just smooth sail into, well, the rocky waters of the review period and then the actual launch of the game. I don't want to spend my time, dedicating the last few days of hype to, well, fake fans or to just narratives that don't jive with mine that are just going to try to, take away from my enjoyment of not even the game, my enjoyment of the excitement and anticipation because it's been a long wait. And now I'm not going to have the last few weeks leading up to the game be miserable for me. Nobody is going to take this from me. That's why people are like, oh, this is just toxic positivity. No. Why is it always toxic positivity but never toxic negativity? You get what I'm saying? Like, y'all being overly negative, overly critical based off nothing while sitting there being like, oh, well, you being overly positive based off nothing. Well, no, based off Metroid Prime 1, 2, 3, and the track record of the studio. And it's like, oh, it's only a name. Well, that name still haven't put out a miss. So until they put out a miss, Retro Studios, the name in front of the building still rings every single bell that it did back then. Based off Prime 1, thanks to the directors of that, and 2 and 3, and Tropical Freeze and Donkey Kong Returns to Prime 4 Beyond. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't missed yet, so why would I all of a sudden start acting like they missing now based off previews that visually, acting wise, mocap wise, all that, it's like the highest we've ever seen from a Nintendo video game. Yeah, that makes sense. It just doesn't. So hopefully, me speaking on these guys, it could maybe help one person who was thinking like, oh yeah, that's the truth. The nonsense that they spouting, they can realize, oh nah, this is a hardcore Metroid fan who just described most Metroid fans, shows respect to all Metroid fans, and is acknowledging the fact that them guys is capping. Them guys is really not part of the actual fandom. They're just those guys. And they trying to do that thing again. Now, to this game. In the same way, once this game comes out, they'll move on to the next thing that probably stars a female character, that probably includes people of color, that probably had people in the development team from all walks of life. They're going to turn that into a negative, and then they'll do all their vitriol towards that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let them hijack our moment. The IP that we love, the IP that was the catalyst for so many other IPs, and just don't let them hijack your joy as you get closer and closer to the release date of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Could you imagine right now somebody who went and played Dread, fell in love with the series, then they went and bought all the amiibos that are out up to now. Maybe they got Silex pre-ordered and all that, and they saw all this stuff, and now they sitting there feeling like, looking at the Samus on her Viola amiibo, thinking like, man, Was it smart for me to purchase this? Damn, should I cancel my Cydex pre-order? I'll keep the game, because maybe it'll be good. Or should I cancel the game? Imagine that, based off these narratives and some actual Metroid fans thinking like these people are their kinfolk when it's not. They're not Metroid fans like you. You get what I'm saying? And you thinking like, oh yeah, they on my team, they on my side. And it's like, nah, they just on the side of, they trying to make this thing go away forever. And you may actually be a part of helping them accomplish that if you don't realize that those are not Metroid fans. Those are fake fans. Those are Mocktroid fans. You feel me? Like, fix your scan visor. Start actually looking at who's actually speaking. You know what I mean? That's all I'm going to say. And I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this. Whether this leads to mass exodus of people unsubscribing, because maybe I was talking about you. It is what it is. Because honestly, I ain't got love for those kinds of people anyway. You know what I'm saying? With so much hate in their blood. It's just not in my character. It's never been, never will be. So I'm perfectly comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Standing in, well, my assessment that I made here. And I'll leave it at that. So yeah, if you rock with me, screw attack that like button. Screw attack that subscribe button. Continue hyping these videos. And I'll see y'all on the next mission. Peace.